Badger fans, we got one of those big time building blocks in the 2025 class joining us. I am very excited for this one. Let's talk about Wilnerson Telemaque.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Ryan Harings. Really appreciate everybody helping us build this community as always. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And I say it all the time when we get the great guests on, man, we don't waste any time. We get right into it. Let's bring in Wilnerson Telemaque, 2025 defensive end coming out of Opa Locka, Florida in the class. Wilnerson, thank you so much for joining us. I want to start here. Describe your game. Oh, I actually want to start here. How does it sound when people say, well, Wilnerson Telemaque, Wisconsin Badgers commit?
I mean, it feels great. It feels like a blessing. A lot of hard work paid off. A lot of all the times grinding, all the time working, just like putting all the hours in to perfect my craft led up to this time. Just hearing your name be a Badger is like an honor, especially guys, legends that play for that program like JJ Watt and others is definitely an honor.
How much time? I always get interested in this because being an athlete and a student, being an athlete is like a job. How much time do you put in a week in the weight room, in off-season film, in study, and this and that? How much time do you put in a week?
I'd say it's like a job. I'd say it's just 24 hours a day. So you have to do yourself with something where it's like watching NFL player highlights to watching film of yourself, seeing what you got to improve on, seeing like training wise in the field, getting weight room in. And then even like having the time for academics and stuff and still making like football based. So while I'm doing math, they'll still be like, okay, offense did this, how many yards and stuff like that.
No, I love it. Talk to me about your game. How would you scout your game?
I see scout my game. I mean, I see like a lot of problems in the game right now, but I'd say I improved on it on the offseason. I'd say right now physical. I'd say quick off the line. Definitely can demand a double team and definitely know how to operate through it. And then also a guy that just relentless had the motor. Like every play, if you check my film, every play in the game, like I would come the same way, full, fast, full speed.
When I was watching your huddle film. I wanted to highlight that your motor's evident. Like you are chasing plays down on the backside of the line of scrimmage. You're getting after the quarterback 4 or 5 yards down the line after he's scrambling. Where does that come from for you? Because not all 6'6", 250-pound guys run like that and move like that.
I say it just comes from it's like a switch that flips during game day. So it's just like I see ball, I got to get ball. So it's like whatever I got to do, knowing like I got to really impress, especially having that target on your back, being one of the top guys in Dade County. Like you just got to keep going in the motor. Like it just motivates me.
Let me ask you this. After committing, is there less pressure on you because now you've made the commitment, or do you feel like there's more now that maybe you have a target on your back because you are a Big Ten commit?
I feel like it's more pressure, but it's nothing new to me. I feel like it just helps build the chip on my shoulder. I've always had a chip on my shoulder. I feel like I'm one of the top guys in my county. I feel like I'm one of the top guys in my state. I mean, I see some people say different, some people choose, but it just puts a chip on my shoulder. So knowing that a team's game planning to go against me, it makes it better.
I want to ask you this. I talked to Brian Smith, has seen you play.
That's my guy.
Yeah, he loves your film. Like he told me when you committed. All transparency, he's like, this guy's really good. But he said the same thing you did. He said he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Do you feel like you're a little overlooked in that area?
Yeah, I feel like, some recruiters, because I feel like the school, it's also a lot of attributes to it, being a highly recruiting hotbed in South Florida. So everybody's like big time. So everybody's going to come. But it's like some schools, they get missed out on, like Pace. But it's like you still got to work for it. So I see guys from bigger schools getting all this offers, getting all the hype, getting the stars. And I'm like, I'm as good as them, going to camps, doing what they do, but even better. So it's just like I let them get their recognition, but I just save it in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, when we get to the big leagues in Big Ten, we see how it really works.
I love it. And right now I see you listed anywhere like 6'6", 250, 6'6", 260. Is that about where you're at right now?
I'd say more 6'6", 250.
What goal do you have? Like coming into next year, where are you trying to get to?
Trying to get to, last season wasn't the best of seasons for me, I'd say, in my opinion. I'd say like ended early because of injuries and all that. But this season, to lead my team to state and definitely like help put my name on the map. Because right now I'm like a 3-star, but in my mind, I feel like I'm the best. So if I got to get to that 4-star, I got to make sure they can see me.
I love it. A couple of questions here. What do you think your coaches would say about you?
I'll say one thing about him is that he's like a team bonder. Like, he'll bring the team together. You know, always a guy that's gonna have energy. He's gonna laugh with you, gonna smile with you. But like when a game day has that switch and that motor, he's a real student of the game.
One thing he said about you, and I got this, I think this was on a Rivals interview, but he said, and this is Coach Walker, he said, this dude's going to, speaking of you, he's going to be scary when he gets to a college strength and conditioning program. Where do you think you're going to end up in a college? Like, you think you're going to be about 270, 280?
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say 275, 285, but I feel like 285, I'd be one of them type of guys, be 285 and still keep the speed.
And I think one of the cool things with your film, and your coach mentioned this too, you can kind of play all across the line. You can play inside, outside. Where do you think your best position ends up being?
I'd say, depending on my development, I'd say outside preferably, but inside, it really doesn't matter to me. As long as I can get the sack, get my TFL, get going, get the crowd jumping, I'm good with it.
I love that you mentioned crowd jumping, because you're going to see a lot of that in Camp Randall-Madison.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. What do you think your teammates would say about you?
I'd say it's like a leader, but it's not one of them vocal guys that's just going to scream at you all day. It's one of them guys that's going like, he'll sit down with you, laugh with you, but he'll also have your back. So when you having a bad game, like, he'll definitely step up for you.
What's a game last year you look back at and you think, man, I really, really balled out in that game?
I'd say Norland last year, the first time they played in regular season, where I'd say, like, we went against their whole O-line was Big Ten, Rutgers commit, DN. So I played both sides. I play offensive tackle too. So, like, playing that, being in the whole game, having the chip on my shoulder, all these guys are ranked higher than me. Everybody's 4-star, 5-star, whatever they got over there. So I'm like, man, they gonna find out who I am. They gotta know me. They gotta see me. So
oh no, sorry, I cut you off. Let me ask you this though: playing offensive tackle and defensive line, do you think that you have another gear maybe when you're able to just focus on being the defensive end?
Yeah, I'll definitely say that. If you see the film, it'll be like sometimes where it's like, okay, he looks a little winded, but it's like you just got to push through it. With me, I don't mind it right now because it's like got to have whatever to help the team win. But like, I can see some people say if he's primarily a D lineman, like, it's going to be scary. But some other people, it's just like, if you got a ball, you just ball, like, deal with it, fight the adversity.
Do you think that helps you as a defensive lineman to kind of play the offensive side and see what it is like to block somebody?
Yeah, because it's put in a different aspect. Seeing, like, now as a D lineman, now I can see how I kick stuff compared to other guys. Like, okay, how their knees move, how the hand is, hand placement, how some old linemen more patient than others. Like me, I'm more of a patient guy. So it's like reading their keys, how they move with the snap. Because some of them try to jump too early, some of them jump too late.
Dude, thoughts on what are you trying to develop this offseason? Going into next year, like, what's your next step up?
I'd say definitely something I've improved on since the spring is leverage. I'd say that's one of my probably one of the biggest reasons I'm not one of the top 4 stars or whatever the rankings is. I'd say leverage is an issue I've seen on my film, and I've definitely I've improved on during spring and during the summer off season. I'd say also just hand placement, more hand movements, stuff like that I've worked on.
So for those of you who maybe don't know as much or haven't watched your film as much, or they're going to watch this show, by leverage, you mean just playing lower, getting a little lower, using your length.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you doing to improve on that? Like, are there any specific drills or reps, like anything you're working on specifically for that?
Yeah, I'd definitely say we up in with weight room wise, we'll have more lunges, some squats, have some power cleans where I stay more low. Then with drills in the field, it's like we'll have like, I can't get above the sled. If I'm above the sled, it's like I'm on punishment. So I just got to keep staying low, keep repetition, and keep trying to get better.
I love it. Because honestly, your physical skills, 6'6", with length, power, speed, anticipation, and motor, if you get that technique part down, and I'm sure coaches are telling you this, that unlocks all sorts of stuff for you. Then you're gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Talk to me about going into this next season. You mentioned getting to a state championship. Are there any individual goals you have? Like anything a particular rival, a player you're going up against, or a stat you're trying to hit?
I'd say stat-wise, over 15 sacks, bunch of TFLs, stuff like that. That'd definitely be something.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break for our friends of the show, come back with Wilnerson. We're going to talk about the recruitment, how we got to Madison, first contact, what that journey's like for a Division I athlete. We're going to talk about that next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show and a quick second to say thank you to everybody tuning in. Today's friends of the show, it is over at Game Time. Game Time is the number one source for all of your ticketing information. Whatever you need, whatever venue you're trying to get to, whether it's sports, whether you're trying to get up to Camp Randall, the Cole Center, theater, concert, music, whatever it is, Game Time's a way to get you there. You're going to download the app, create the account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off. It's the fastest, easiest, simplest, cheapest, most logistically freeing way of buying tickets. It's 2023. Wait, it's 2024. Start buying tickets like a civilized person. Don't buy tickets like a caveman anymore. You don't have to go to all these weird places or try to find somebody on the street. Use Game Time. You're going to save money. You're going to save headache. You're going to get there quicker. You're going to have a better selection. They have pictures of the seats, panoramic views of the seats before you sit down so you can see what it's going to look like. Go over to Game Time right now. This is the best place to do it. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's get Wilnerson back on and keep rolling through this awesome interview. I want to talk the recruiting process. When did you first hear from Wisconsin?
I'd say first heard actually before Whitlow got there. The previous D-line coach I had some communications with before he left to Michigan and all that stuff happened. So I already knew about the program and the legacy and all that from past experiences. But then when Whitlow came on later in I'd say April, we just hit it off and it was just like a great connection.
Talk to me about that. So one of the questions we had, I mentioned to some people that I was going to have you on the show, and I got several questions from fans. This is from Chicago Badgers. Who was the most important coach in your recruitment? Was that Whitlow?
I'll probably say it's between Whitlow and Pat.
What about EJ Whitlow is different? Like why did he connect so well with you?
I'd say with him, it's just like we just connected talking ball. So from the first flight he took for spring practices, like first ever trip, was come to see me. So I already felt that off the bat. I was like, man, he really shows he's caring. Knowing that he already jumped, he's late to the party because I already had released like a top 6 or top 7 before that. So I really wasn't thinking like Wisconsin was going to be one of the schools. I was like, okay. But then after the scholarship, we started building a connection, talking ball. I'm like, knowing that he's new to like the Power 5 game, because like he hasn't really got a Power 5 job before that. But knowing the guys he's coached, knowing the coaching staff, like connection he has with Coach Fickell and all those. So I definitely appreciate him.
And then talk to me about Pat and Max. Pat Lambert, Max Steinecker, the recruiting personnel site there. What are they like, and how is that different than other schools you've worked with?
I'd say with them, they're more fun. I'd say with like other recruiting, it's more like they try to get you as like the football player, hype you up. With them, it's like they're trying to have fun with you as a person. Like they're trying to crack a smile on your face, try to get you pumped up just to be a Badger. So it's like you can see that connection.
What was the official visit like?
It was great. I mean, from the jump, my parents it started a little bad because we had a flight to Wisconsin, Madison straight, but it got delayed. So then we got a flight to Milwaukee and got to the hotel around like 3 a.m. Then wake up early for like the official stuff. But once we met Coach Fickell and all of them, it was like the whole family was excited. It was just like it was a beautiful city. Had great meetings with the coaches. Got to see like what the new facilities would look like in the future. Getting to see Camp Randall for the first time. It was a great experience.
What was the first impression of Coach Fickell?
Definitely a guy. Once I knew he was a D-line guy, but once he like started talking to me about D-line, I instantly was like, yeah, that's gonna be my coach. Because like I'm real heavy with the D-line connection. Most coaches, like other schools, will have like offensive minded head coaches, but him as being someone that's coached your position and played your position, it shows that really matters to him.
Let me ask you this, because I'm always curious. You could have gone a ton of places. Like your offer list is be big, like huge, and programs from across the country, coast to coast. How do you narrow it down to, because you can't visit everywhere, right? How do you even narrow it down to a 6 or a 5 or a 4?
Well, I'd say with me, how I narrowed it down was basically spring was the evaluation period where I was seeing who was showing up to the schools, showing up to practice, who had a better connection with who. Most practices, which I normally didn't have, I had my mom show up to a lot of practices, so the coach would meet her, who she started liking more, who my head coach was liking more, and seeing like which where I could fit in the best based on schemes.
What was the family's reaction to Wisconsin?
I would say they just instantly was like, wow. Like it was shocked because thinking of Wisconsin, like only city I know there is like Green Bay and maybe Milwaukee. So we go to Madison, see how beautiful it was. And I was like, it just surprised me.
Yeah, we get that. I shouldn't say we, but I get that from a lot of recruits who haven't been to Madison. They get to Madison and they're just like, this is an incredible city. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to know Torrin Petaway at all? This is a question from Nick. Have you gotten to know Torrin Petaway? And then how does the staff see your role on the defense going forward?
Well, with Petaway, I mean, he's cool. I mean, I've met him. We had a few conversations here and there. So it's definitely a guy that I'm really pumped up to play with. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the 2025 D-line class with Wisconsin, which I feel like everybody has their right to their own opinion. But I feel like me and him are like two people. I mean, we're not high on the recruiting rankings-wise, and people feel like iffy about the development, how you gonna pan out. But I'm telling you, like us two, it's gonna be different. Like you're gonna love it. And then with the staff seeing my role, I'm a guy that can play interior, outside. So I basically count as like two people on the roster on the depth chart. So I'll be an inside guy and an outside guy.
Is there anybody you look up to and say, I want to play like him? Is there like an athlete that you model your game after?
I'd say a lot of times I've said Calais Campbell. I mean, I've been a big fan of Chase Young also when he was at Ohio State and other players like that played good. I'm a Khalil Mack fan also.
Oh, Calais Campbell's a stud. That dude's a monster. That's a great one to look up to. Here's one from Greg. Has the staff given you any advice or any like specific tips? Hey, we would like you to work on this in the offseason.
Yeah, I've always had good communication with Coach Willow. Once we committed, me and my special coach trainer and that, we set up a whole plan with Willow of what we gonna work on, what we need to improve on for leverage, skill wise on the field. Then we tried to talk. Then we're talking a little bit weight room, or what we should do, what plyometrics and stuff like that.
I'm always curious, like after you commit, how does the communication change with the staff? And then do other schools stay in it on you? Have they kept trying to reach out?
I'd say with other schools, they still reach out. They still try to do their best to try to flip me and persuade me to other schools. And then with the staff, it's still same love. Like most schools, I would say after you commit, it's like they forget about you. They just move on to the next, trying to get another guy. With me, I'd say I've still had good communication with Pat. Pat checks on me almost every day. I talk to Whitlow every day. They're on the phone or through text, and even get some text with Coach Fickell from time to time.
What is the most, for people who haven't been in that position, what is the most frustrating / just annoying part of the recruiting process for you?
I would say probably that time period where all the communication starts, where it's like every coach is flooding your phone, this and that. Like heading near my commitment date, I probably had about 50 phone calls and like over 200 messages from like different schools. So it was just hectic. So now seeing that going on, it's like now committing is probably the most peaceful time in any kid's recruitment, because like once you shut it down, it's like you ain't got to worry about, oh, I got to talk to this coach today, oh, I got to be on the phone, handle this, handle that.
How do you handle social media during that period? Not before the commitment, when you're getting memes and gifts from every fan base, people are reaching out. What is that like for an athlete?
I mean, at the same time, it's a blessing to be in that position. So you'll get some hateful comments, you'll get some noise from other fan base that don't like where you picked or don't like the decision you're making. But at the same time, like I would understand their position, because if I was a fan of that school too, I understand. You got a D lineman you trying to get, or a player any position you're trying to get. I understand. Like everybody, basically.
Who'd you grow up as a fan of? Anybody for college football?
College, I'd say I was an Ohio State guy, like heavy. That's where I really found out about Fickell. Like Fickell, when I started watching them, I used to see Fickell on the sideline, and I remembered his face like vividly.
Now you get to beat up on them.
Yeah.
Is there a team in the Big Ten that you're most looking forward to playing? Any particular team?
I would say probably Minnesota or Ohio State, honestly.
I love it. You know we can't lose that axe, right?
Hell no. Definitely.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Last question here on just the recruiting stuff. We talked a little bit about the chip on the shoulder. Do you watch the recruiting rankings? Do you see where you are in that? And do you look at other players and say, ugh?
I mean, I look at other players. I mean, there's times in my head, like definitely before every game, I look at the recruiter rankings. Like I always look and be like, okay, I'm a 3-star. I'm top 50 D lineman. I'm like, okay, he's ahead of me. Okay, got to do this game. I got to do that. Or I'm the train. Even now when I'm training, like before I train every day, I'll check my 247, because I'll be like 247. They tried me with the rankings. They had me like 100-something, 200-something D lineman. I'm like, okay, you think that many D linemen better than me? I bet they're not working as hard as me right now. I got to see, like, I got to work twice as hard just to get myself up, just to help I don't need the ranking increase, but I need my mind so I could feel like they can't say I wasn't deserving of that 4-star.
I love that, man. I love that motivation. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
For sure.
All right, let's do it. So do you play video games?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. College Football 25, you going to play?
Yeah, I played it already. It's great.
Okay, yeah, I agree. We have an online dynasty going on. Actually, you could jump in on that if you want. I'll send you on the side. But here's a question. So next year they're gonna keep making this game. You're gonna be in this game, which I think is awesome. What should your overall ranking be?
I mean, as a freshman, I'd say 78, 79.
Okay. What about your speed?
Speed, I mean, definitely should be one of the fastest D linemen in the game. Especially now I'm trying to run track this year. Definitely trying to be one of the fastest D linemen in this game. So I'd say like 90s.
Okay. That'll play in the Big Ten for sure. How about pass rush power?
Pass rush, I'd say pass rush seeing what I do now in the offseason, like seeing what I've improved on, it definitely should be high for a freshman.
Let me ask you this. I want to keep going. I get a few more. Something you just said there wants me to go in another direction really quickly. How excited are you for the season to start, given all the work you put in the offseason to see the difference?
Pumped. Like, I can't wait. Like, our first game is like in less than a month now, and I can't go to sleep. I'm watching film on another team. I'm just trying to, like, especially how last season ended for me, losing first round of playoffs, being injured, so I couldn't even help my team. It was just like, I can't go to sleep. I just want to play.
Dude, I love it. What about your tackling rank? Where should you be?
Tackling, I don't miss tackles, so that's all I gotta say.
90s?
Yeah.
We'll take it. Last one here, strength.
Strength, I mean, I say pretty high. I mean, it depends. On film, I've seen like a lot of people say I have like strength on the field, but I mean, it depends. Say 8.
That works. Favorite food?
Favorite food, probably. Honestly, when I went to Madison, there was this cheese thing they had me eat, and like I don't remember the name of it. But after I ate that cheese thing, it's been my favorite thing. I've been craving it, so I'm trying to get back up in Madison.
Cheese curds? Is it?
Yeah, cheese curds.
Yes.
Cheese.
Dude, those things are incredible.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't even understood what it was when Coach Whitlow put me onto it, but once he did, like, and I've tasted it for the first time, I fell in love.
It's one of our biggest recruiting tools.
For sure.
Cheese curds. All right, let's go. Hidden talent, something not football related.
I'd say I could cook. Like, I'm really a chef. Like, if you ask my mom, one thing about me is that I like to cook. So,
what's your go-to dish?
I'd say mac and cheese, some grilled chicken, some fried chicken if I feel like it. Sometimes if I feel like I got the time, I'll use a smoker, make some steaks, some ribs, stuff like that.
There we go. What's the coldest weather you've ever played football in?
Coldest weather? I mean, Miami, it's never cold. So I'd say I have to go back to like Little League. And even then, it'll be like 60s maybe.
Yeah. You ready for winter?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of advice from a lot of other like recruits I know that are former teammates that play in like the Big Ten and stuff like that.
Listen, football and snow and weather is awesome. Like, I think you'll love it. It's just some people don't know what's coming, but you do. Here's one for you. And this is from a question we got from Dane 1994. How do you want to be remembered after your career wraps up at Wisconsin?
I would say as a guy that came in, wasn't highly like known or highly like hyped up to be what he was at Wisconsin, but finished off probably all-time sacks leader at Wisconsin, a first-round pick, a guy that just like made the legacy at Wisconsin, helped me like have my name remembered at Camp Randall for sure.
We'll take all that. What do you do to chill when you just need to relax and get away from things?
Probably just listen to music, probably chill. Be video games, be like some things I do, stuff like that.
Any thoughts on what you might want to do academics at Wisconsin?
Academics, it'll be sports communications, kind of like how we do podcasts here. I'm trying to get into stuff like that, be a sports broadcaster in the future.
That'd be awesome. 2 more questions here. Who's the biggest, maybe not the biggest, but who is a big mentor in your life?
I'd say my D-line coach, Coach Cooney, definitely, and then my mom.
What does Coach Cooney do that makes him like such an easy person to look up to?
I'd say he's like a big brother. At the same time, like every visit I've went to since I've gotten to high school has been with him. Like even when it be times where it's like, okay, it's gonna be hard to make that trade. He's always made it work and made it happen.
That's awesome. Last question here, man. And again, thank you so much for the time. And we have your Twitter account down there at @IamWill. Anywhere else people can follow you?
I'd say Instagram, same thing. I am Will. Got TikTok, have all the socials you need. It's gonna be I am Will.
So go follow him, Badger fans, so we can cheer along on the senior season. Last question here, message for Badger fans.
I would say when this 2025 class comes in, I mean, Hardy Watts, my guy. We already got him. I'm telling you, like, y'all are not going to be all this Big Ten noise about USC and Oregon joining. Like, it's going to be dangerous when Wisconsin start getting all the guys in and we start becoming one of the top teams in the Big Ten for sure.
Absolutely love it, man. He is Wilnerson Telemaque, big-time part of that 2025 class. Thank you so much for joining. We have all your socials there, so go give him a follow so we can cheer along on Wisconsin, and we will talk tomorrow.